Oh, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show. This is the 4-year anniversary. It's November 2nd, 2020. We did this exact show 4 years ago.
Election Night Eve.
Yes. The whole goal of it is, it used to be called Crash Talk. We're just the show right now.
Yeah.
We're trying to...
It's the show.
Oh, I got my headphones in the wrong ear. Hold on a second here.
Oh, man.
Bumbling out of the gate.
There you go.
What we're going to do is focus our analysis on the election, completely ignoring the polls and only going off gambling lines and our own... We got my friend...
Interpretation.
Yeah, our own... We both have our subjective polls.
Exactly.
Like the way I do polls is I have friends that I kind of view as representative of different groups. And then, as the year goes on, you call them, you find out how these different issues have affected them, and you can't say you can assume a whole lot of people off of one. But if you get a good 50, 60 people, if you have your Facebook done right, you can get a nice picture of how the public's going to break.
Some good perspective. Yes, especially in the area, and we are in Western Pennsylvania, and they say the election is going to be decided. Basically in our backyard here.
So hopefully...
I think we have the best perspective out of anybody, to be honest with you.
If you're listening to this show, if our predictions are right, we will keep going past the election. Because I see no way this ends tomorrow night.
Oh, definitely
Unless
not.
Trump or Biden pulls a landslide and we'll go over those scenarios.
There's going to be a lot of emergency podcasts that we have to pull together like this, like we did tonight. So
PA does not start counting their mail-in votes until 8 o'clock tomorrow
8 o'clock tomorrow.
So if all the Democrats
it's going to be a while.
All the Republicans vote in person...
Yeah.
Trump's going to start off up 1 million.
All right, Greg. Why don't you introduce everybody before you get into it here too hard?
To my left here, that's across from me, Craig Schrum. You can go ahead and introduce yourself, man. What do you want the people to know?
What do I want to know?
Do you want them to know your career? What are you telling them? This is the first time people are listening to you. They didn't hear the last show where I predicted 49 out of 50 states.
He was on the last show.
Yeah,
I was on the last.
I'm saying the audience might not. This might be first-time listeners. They might not know anything about it.
All they really need to know is that I'm a libertarian.
That's it. That's exactly what they need to know.
Me and Craig go back to what? Middle school bowling?
Yeah.
Back in the day?
Yeah.
I am a lifelong Democrat. I was. I have not changed my party affiliation yet.
Tulsi was your
Tulsi was my candidate.
But he's hopped on the Trump train.
Yeah. If there's room. Jumping on the caboose 24 hours before the election.
I don't know if that's exactly what happened.
Well, my sentiment last year going into the election was, and you can go back and listen to it, it's kind of interesting perspective.
We just had it up.
I was positive Trump was going to win, but I was not happy about it. At the same time, I hated Hillary Clinton and the way that she ran her campaign. So I'm schizophrenic in my coverage. If you go back and see that, I have since worked on a couple of Democratic campaigns.
Schizophrenic would be a good way to put it.
Yes. Since lockdown has hit, pandemic politics changes things, and I've always been more libertarian leaning.
Yeah,
but
when I was in college too, I was as well. I was a big Gary Johnson.
Yeah.
Big Gary Johnson fan.
Alec, and the person's not introduced himself yet. Alec Italiano, recently married.
Yes.
I conducted their marriage.
Yeah.
About to do Craig.
You're about to do Craig.
Courtney,
yeah. I just found that out tonight.
Yeah.
Well, you told me the other day too.
Yeah.
I forgot.
It's just a thriving business.
Thriving business.
We don't put any limits on the number of people that can be there.
And how much do you charge us for that, Greg?
No, just this is all for the love.
All for the love.
I'm a man of the faith. Man of the cloth. A man of faith, man of the cloth.
So, where are we beginning the show at here today, Greg?
Well, let's talk about how we got here. We have Craig. Would you rather talk about the how the pandemic has changed maybe the electorate, or would you rather talk about the Democrats' primary?
I mean, I think we got to start with the Democratic
start with the primary.
I think that was before all this. There was a primary, the BC, before COVID. We had a year and a half.
Which was ridiculous.
27 candidates.
I mean, as a libertarian like yourself, Craig, what did you think about the Democratic one? Because we all got to watch the Republican one 4 years ago.
The Democrat one looked fixed. Rigged.
Me and Craig did a recording on this. This was a big project I had.
And Greg really convinced me on the idea that the Democrats...
The super delegates, and then
super delegates.
They wanted to put in their own candidate,
and that was how Hillary got in.
I'm actually really surprised. He convinced me so much that I didn't think Biden would be here today.
I had people convinced that we were gonna have a broker convention, and then once you
didn't really have anybody convinced, Greg.
The pandemic hit.
He had me convinced.
The gambling line appeared on Bovada.com. That's who we're gonna be making our bets through. That's where the gambling line appeared.
And if you watched Vegas during the whole year, none of this makes sense.
Nothing.
Because their lines.
Oh, Hillary Clinton has been in third.
Well, it's really hard to predict. It's really hard to predict.
They had Trump winning clear out the whole time up.
They did. Right now, he's a dog.
And he went back down. Now they're closing back up again.
Yep. Yeah.
But
in the game.
But yeah, they had Hillary as number 3 for months.
It's long. I mean,
like even whenever Joe Biden already won, they still had Hillary like a close third in the making bets.
You had Cuomo doing his power hour because I thought that was going to be the debate.
And Biden was never near the top. It made no sense that he won the primary.
My theory is the only reason we're in this position right now is because they didn't think. I mean, I don't think anyone thought that Biden could have lasted this long. I thought they thought at some point they'd be able to sub in a new candidate.
You should explain though that we're talking about not polls. We're talking about the Vegas betting lines.
The Vegas betting lines.
Because people won't understand.
Yes.
Because the polls,
we trust those a little bit more.
The polls. Because look at this now. Everyone's like, "Oh, Biden's winning. Biden's winning. Biden's going to win," and it's like the polls were wrong last time. Are we really going to trust you again?
Yeah. And Nate Silver.
Yeah.
Nobody answers their phones.
And I don't understand the strategy because if everybody thinks, okay, the media is trying to get the Democrat elected, and this is their strategy, I don't understand. You're telling everybody that that it's a sure thing. How are you motivating voters that way? Like, how are you getting the base out? That's what I don't understand. What it's in your best interest to say it's a toss-up. You need everybody out there.
When you gamble, when you decide to go and put money on your candidate, you're actually like risking something. It's not just somebody called me and I'm probably going to vote Biden, but if I got to stand in line for 15 minutes, I'm not going to go.
Right.
That doesn't.
And you know what? I don't know I don't know where the journalism is and some of that because I hear 4-hour wait lines.
Mm-hmm.
It depends on where you're at. If you're like in Pittsburgh,
we live in Westmoreland County. I don't think I've ever waited more than like 8 minutes to vote in my entire life.
I haven't ever waited in any line. I walk right in.
I'm going to say an hour. I'm going to go in line and say at least an hour for probably all of us.
You think an hour wait? I mean, I'm going 7 a.m. tomorrow morning.
If you're in a small
this neighborhood, dude, is all Biden signs. They all mailed their shit in.
Now that could but I guess the concern is how many of those people they probably you're right. They wouldn't have gone to the polls. They probably wouldn't have voted. Now they're going to count.
Right.
And how much does that now the unenthusiastic vote get to count? You don't have to care.
That's
that
a major
much.
Boost to the
it's like you don't have to love Joe Biden. You just have to really hate Donald Trump one day in the last 3 months and just send in your mail.
Yep.
But I agree with you, Craig, to bring it back to the primary. It was a disaster. I mean, I don't know. And then COVID happened, and then we never really even had an answer. It was just like Joe Biden's the winner, we guess.
Let's do a quick walk through here. Iowa. We're going into the Iowa caucus.
Yeah.
CNN, conveniently, since they tried to do it through an app, they just couldn't get stats. So the whole day was broke. It took 3 days to figure it out.
3 days.
They're calling to kill the caucus. No one's ever seen David Chalian on CNN. He's never even seen a caucus. It's like it's completely brand new. They spent their whole time preparing for this. And this is the shit that they give us. Yeah. And what does it do? Bernie and Pete won. Biden barely qualified, but it didn't make the news for 3 days.
Right.
What do you know? We go straight to New Hampshire.
Right.
And Iowa was
how did Biden ever get...
He didn't...
if you were going to pretend this was real, he really did win... I mean, I guess he did get the vote.
When did he win? When did he win? Normally, it's a winning point. Normally,
he was
back and say this was the day.
He was a nobody.
You didn't get that with this. No, you didn't get that. That's what I'm saying. The pandemic happened, and it was like,
and then suddenly Biden.
Here comes Biden.
Out of nowhere. No enthusiasm.
No,
made no sense.
Donald Trump's dirty. Pandemic. Bernie's dirty. Pandemic. Donald Trump's dirty. Oh yeah, Joe Biden's still here. Pandemic. And that was when the cruise ship. Remember, this was right when all of a sudden we got that cruise ship sitting out there.
And then the NBA canceled, and then everybody shut down. I mean, I remember that being literally the tipping point, pun intended.
And the NBA is like
that was
this is what's funny though. Is the NBA is like this with China.
Yeah. You want to talk about though? But
could you describe that? We can't see it. It's a podcast.
They're tight.
We're not paid. We're not paid.
They're
China has nothing over us. Right. We're not paid.
But what about Tulsi? Tulsi's a
Russian agent. That was as soon as she gets in the race. Well,
she was probably the best candidate they had on the stage.
Well, she needed.
You really have been paying attention to Greg here, haven't you, Greg?
Yeah.
She needed Bernie to leave. Bernie needed to pass the baton on to her. He ran and failed in 2016. What makes you think he'd do better against more candidates?
What doesn't make sense is she actually got delegates and she wasn't invited.
Yeah,
to the
right. Okay, no, the whole thing was
BS. Let's get we just got through Iowa.
Yeah.
Biden's not even we're looking at him now he better prove this black vote that you say that you're in charge of. It better come through. New Hampshire, he's not viable. He comes in 4th place.
Not viable.
In New Hampshire, leaves the state before the votes are counted. So right now you have Bernie definitively in first, Pete number 2, Elizabeth Warren surging.
Who won New Hampshire again?
Bernie.
Bernie did.
Which is where I think this time around, I think New Hampshire is in play.
Right next to Vermont.
In play for Republicans.
I didn't even notice on your map.
New
Hampshire's not colored. Mm-hmm. That's only 4, so it's not like anybody really cares, and that's it.
Yeah.
They're kind of getting screwed up here in the Northeast with all these power-hungry Democratic governors.
Yeah.
So
really won New York.
I think New Hampshire's on the table just like I do Nevada, where once again, Biden in place. We're talking he's in 5th now. Clomentum has just taken the lead. 5th place. And we're going into his last state. And then we have
Super Tuesday after that?
40% of the states voting on one day.
Right.
And that's 3 days after South Carolina. At this point, Biden is dead in the water. Mm-hmm. During the debates, he's tapping out. Mm-hmm. They're taking cheap shots at him.
Mm-hmm. It was over.
Bloomberg enters the race because it looks like he was about to get impeached.
He threw last-ditch effort in there.
There was about to be a prisoner swap in the impeachment for Biden for who they want? Bolton? Who's tested? The Democrats.
I think it was Bolton
or somebody.
Like, he was one of the authors, right?
They're like, we'll give you Biden. And then Joe Biden gets on here and is like, no. And it's like, wait, that looks pretty bad if he's not willing to take the stand. Like, what if Trump just said, I'm not going to cooperate and testify when Congress...
Greg, what would the date been on Super Tuesday? It would have been...
March 3rd.
March 3rd.
March 3rd, I'm out. I mean, it was
and the pandemic hit, like, later on that month?
I thought it was going to be brokered convention because if you have 5 competitive people going into Stupid Tuesday and 40% of the country votes, it's going to get fractured 20% here, 25 here, 30% here. No one's getting to 50, and the superdelegates will come in and decide from that point on. The gambling line appeared on Bravado.
So why do you think they chose to go with Biden?
Okay.
What's their motivation?
I think they panicked. I think going into Stupid Tuesday, the way to perfectly broker it, you need 4. If you get 5, there's a chance that in California, Biden, Buttigieg, and Klobuchar all get like 10%. You need 15 to get it. When I say you're not viable in a state, I mean you didn't get 15%. You can't get statewide delegates. Mm-hmm. You don't just get some participation trophy in Orange County.
But some states do it differently, where they can actually split it, right?
Well, no, all of them to get statewide delegates, to have access to over half of a state's delegates, you have to be in the top 15% statewide. Okay. You can win a local delegate here and there.
Yeah.
But you have to be viable statewide in every state. In all 50, you have to be viable because you have to get 50% of the delegates. So you at least have to have access to all of them.
Yeah.
If 3 people have access, there's no chance of any of them getting 50, which is where Warren and Biden, Bernie, the 3 of them were not going to go into it. There would have been a strong chance if you put in that with Klobuchar or Buttigieg, you chop Biden's vote to a point that he's not viable anywhere on the West Coast, maybe not in the South. Mm-hmm. It's really tough to say because Texas. He ended up getting like 30%, but that was because you add what Buttigieg had at the time and what Klobuchar had. And why did they drop out? Because they were the establishment guys from the middle. Buttigieg ran to be the president of the DNC in 2018. Lost to Princess Perez. Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he lost to Princess Perez and then decides, hey, maybe I should lead the free world. You know, you just completely. But one thing that you knew is he was going to be playing to a demographic vote. And that in major cities, he'd get probably 15% of the gay vote. Which is that's a strong.
I mean, play to your strengths, right?
You'd end up with 10% of the delegates, and then when you go into a brokered convention, that's a strong negotiating point. That's 10%. You can when Michael Bloomberg
because that's really. I mean, the whole the convention part. It's like, okay, let's make a deal. Let's sit around in the room, right? So
the idea. This is the proverbial smoke-filled room,
right?
So I think going into Stupid Tuesday, it's not only important that they kept Warren in. But they needed Buttigieg and Klobuchar to be out. They were both taking ads out in PA. Klobuchar had her home state. She was apparently embarrassed because she was going to lose to Joe Biden in her home state of Minnesota. I guess that's what it normally means when you drop out the day before you're supposed to run.
So then the pandemic hits, right?
And then
Biden
so is useful because you can pull it.
How do you get this pandemic politics now starts to play out here?
So if the plan here, they're panicked. You have this pandemic coming in. You see that writing on the wall.
Yeah.
You have Joe Biden, who is comorbid in every way, shape, or form.
Very much so.
If you have,
just like he was in the first debate, looked like he was about to die.
Let's play this scenario around and say you pull out Joe Biden and you pull out Buttigieg and you just have Klobuchar, or you pull out Klobuchar and Biden and just have Buttigieg. You're not, and the same thing works. Everyone flocks. All the Biden supporters go, okay, if he's a little young, and I don't know.
Let me interrupt, Craig. Who was your favorite candidate, and who did you think who were going to win? Did you think they were going to be the same people for the Democrats?
For the Democrats?
Yeah.
My favorite candidate on the Democrats would have been Tulsi.
Okay.
But no.
Who did you think was going to win?
I thought it would have been one of the women.
Hillary.
I thought Kamala.
Tulsi.
Well, I thought Hillary was going to get the convention.
You
had me convinced.
I was going to say,
at any point
Greg,
you pull Biden.
Full disclosure, Greg's just been putting out wild predictions there.
On this, I've been saying it for a while, and it's just...
It was convincing.
I mean, I get it.
And things were working
was
that
convincing.
way. It was almost like... It
wasn't that far off the wall.
It seemed like they just pulled the idea last second. We're like, hey, we have this scandal
Trojan
on Hunter.
horse. Yeah.
And this could lead to an impeachment, and we can just replace it after the election.
Which they still can't.
They can handle him the same way they handled the Russians.
Until Trump concedes.
He has more evidence.
I know. They were about, and that's where they can pull him. As soon as we cast our votes, they could pull him. Pennsylvania won't be final and official until Friday.
Yeah.
Democrats have already said they're not conceding on election night. If Biden is pulled before Trump concedes, then the DNC gets to pick who the front runner is.
Okay.
If he concedes, Kamala Harris gets bumped up, and then the House, I think the Speaker of the House should become...
Wait a second. So if you're saying say Biden's the winner, right? And as long as they do it before he's elected, all the people who voted for Biden will automatically vote for that other candidate? That doesn't make any sense.
You will the 12th Amendment...
Because they didn't vote for that candidate.
You vote for you don't vote for the man. You vote for a ticket.
Party.
You vote. That's the 12th Amendment. The vice president and the president run on the same ticket. So when you cast a vote for one,
but you'd be voting for Kamala.
And that's the
that would make sense.
So once Biden's official,
but you were saying that they could replace Biden.
In the event they can replace Biden if
but then
Trump
maybe
does not concede.
but you didn't vote for that ticket because you didn't vote for that candidate.
No,
that would be a disaster.
Yeah, I would say so.
Back in the day, the vice president was often like the opposition to the president, and so. Yeah. Didn't that happen with who got assassinated and the other person got put in? Was that JFK? I don't know. No, it wasn't that. It was for the.
It wasn't that recent.
Really?
Yeah.
The whole this idea of the presidential partnership is like maybe the 1980s. I'm trying to think. Reagan and Bush weren't best friends.
I've heard the story before, but I believe it was.
They used to pair up for reasons.
No, normally,
but they did it as a campaign thing.
Well, they wanted two fractured votes, and so they brought the ticket together. That's why they didn't necessarily get along.
Each party normally fractured more distinctly than they do now.
Right.
So it's like normally what would be required if the Bernie Sanders supporters had any abilities, any skill whatsoever, any brains. I'm talking to just read the rule book. They basically have a guarantee of a VP. Just you don't get our votes if you don't pick our person. Like there is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. There's a significant portion of the party that disagrees with the outcome.
Yeah.
I think one way to make it up, and that's through a VP.
And I think identity politics plays into that a lot, which, I was listening to one of our old shows, and we talked about identity politics. You actually grilled Craig on what he thought it really was, which was interesting. But then when we did our bets, we did, it was like odds. And it was like after noon, the next day was like 8-1, 10-1. It was like the longest odds for a concession speech. And now we're talking about it now, and it's like, oh man, that could be a week. What do you have the over under on when?
You can. I'm gonna have
a little preview.
Find it here, but you can bet on.
Yeah, because we did that bet last time, and I was like, wow, that's way off for this time. So. Not to get us too sidetracked.
No, go ahead and keep talking here. If the pandemic, so now basically we just got to, they put Biden in, the pandemic hits, Democratic governors lock down hard.
Yeah.
Republicans,
and
governors
here we go.
Don't. How do you think that is playing out so far? Who does the public blame? Who does the public like? Because they say Fauci has high approval, and quite frankly, I don't buy it.
I don't believe that.
I don't. I mean, I'm part of the Fire Fauci chant. Like from the very beginning, he's been similar to the pollsters.
I just never took him seriously because I was like, this is the leader, and this is what I had a whole problem with the government. And like, why don't we have like a laboratory funded by the government inside the government building, and we can get one of those people to talk? Like, who's Fauci? He looks like a figurehead. He looks like someone up there to read press releases.
Because everyone in government is
he's been there for
he had a career past tense. Like, I want somebody that's currently having a career and is the foremost leader in the expert actually putting lab coat on every day to tell me about the pandemic, and that wasn't him.
Patients? Is he looking at research, or is he just like a press secretary?
Press secretary.
I'm confused.
He's a press secretary.
Does he have
patients?
Yeah.
It's pretty much just a political
Dr. Gupta
position.
Dr. Sanjay, I remember at the beginning when the pandemic began, he's not a politician. He's just an expert defending science.
I don't understand why Trump goes along with it.
I think.
I mean, he goes along. He like fire him already. Put somebody who's in the field doing it in there.
He's like a binky for the liberals. They love him. It's if there's anything that's keeping them sane right now, they actually are fans of this man.
Did anybody else?
For no reason other than he seems to.
I like how they put.
They believe he has Trump under control.
Right. I like how they put Pence in charge of the whole thing, though. He was in charge of like the task force or whatever. I was like, he's not going to do a goddamn thing, you know? I mean, he's just going to sit around and look.
And that's what you want. I don't think anyone.
That's what Trump wanted. That's what Trump wanted. He wanted to play it down. So okay, put Pence in charge and
let's talk about nonsense.
But see, that's the part
criticizing him for playing it down. Do you realize how moronic they sound?
Yeah,
I wish he'd have panicked more.
Yeah.
It's like. Well, you know, he was talking to Woodward, being honest with him. Woodward's calling CNN, telling them all these stories, going, yeah, he's acting like he's not panicked, but he's really panicked.
Yeah.
It would be like saying George Bush should have stood up when that guy whispered in his ear and freaked out.
Like, oh my God, like, kids,
that's the way they're
we are under attack.
We're under attack. Get under your desk.
If anything, knowing that Trump's a germaphobe, I was concerned that if he was ever going to be a dictator, if there's ever an opportunity for him to get really, really paranoid.
This is it.
Yeah. And he didn't take it.
Yeah.
He didn't take it when the riots happened. Like, he's proving not to be a dictator as much as that's crushing CNN to have to cover it.
If they could just be honest about that.
Purely from a strategy side, though, I thought that's when Trump made his biggest mistake. Was he got up on national television and he was like, "Don't worry, everything's going to be fine. Blah 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 blah. Like it's going to blow over. You know, keep the economy strong. Blah blah blah." And it just everybody knew that wasn't the case. You know, and it's just, well, now, okay, we always took him for a liar. Well, but now he's doing it, like, from his desk in the Oval Office, live broadcast. It's, like, right there for everybody to see, you know, so.
Is that lying, though? If your goal is you think it's going to be bad for the public if they get worked up and panic.
Oh, no, he just.
Like, there was no reason for
But then he admitted it to Bob Woodward later. That it's just like,
talking to Bob Woodward.
You know, so, I mean, I don't know why he was talking to Bob Woodward in the first place. I agree with that. But at the same time, he was just obviously caught flat. And everybody know that he lies, and everybody knows that. I mean, but this was so obvious.
No, this isn't lying because.
No, I mean it was strategy. He was trying to,
say strategy.
It's looking out for the country.
Yeah,
how I would
he was doing what he thought was best. But
as the president,
I mean, maybe you could say that he was just
explicitly
trying to save his economy.
He was. That's what. It's a purely political move, is what I'm saying.
Even if
kind of cowardly, in my opinion.
But that's an assumption. We don't actually know that was why he did it.
I don't think politically he could have just.
We're speculating the whole time along here.
Right.
Like, don't worry.
Okay, but the other
talk show between three guys from Greensburg here. So,
but if this was. If this was Obama, though, the media would have been praising this as to keep control of the country.
Let's go on a limb here. And what happens if Trump's the one that does a national mask mandate? What if he's the one that gets really hyped up about masks?
I mean,
do you think people our age? Do you think people our age would have ever young Democrats would have ever put on a mask as Trump told them to? If anything, his fighting this might have encouraged other people our age that otherwise have no business wearing masks to become germaphobes overnight.
Right.
Here's the thing, though. This played right into millennials, young Democratic hands.
If Obama told millennials to wear a mask, they wouldn't do it. It was only if Trump told them not to. If Trump said, "Don't you dare wear a mask," it's not cool if you wear a mask.
This is the perfect thing.
They're doing it because they think it makes the Republicans mad.
Yeah.
Oh, no,
it's not.
It does make some of them mad. I've seen it at Walmart.
I know. They do make them mad. It's working. But that's the only reason.
But see, this was the perfect thing for the Democrats because the Democrats always wanted to take that higher road, holier than now approach to politics.
Virtue signaling. This is the best virtue signaler in the world.
Exactly. We're the brainiacs of the world. Like we're really what keeps things together. Why not just wear a shirt that
says "I care more about society than you do"?
Right. Exactly.
I care about you more than you.
I fund the library with my tax dollars more than you do. But I mean, it is a little ridiculous. At the same time, it played right into the Democrats' hands, and then it's like Biden all of a sudden rises from the ashes, and he might win this election.
Is this rising? Okay, now Biden rising from the ashes.
Because he was dead. This is what we talked about the first half of the show. He was dead.
I know, but
nobody thought he was going to win the primary.
Rise, or did COVID give him an excuse to continue playing dead?
COVID helped him rise, though.
But I'm not saying he's not risen. He's still dead.
How did he get people to come out and vote for him, though? There were better options.
I don't know how many people. As far as the Democratic turnout rate, I don't know
Are we still talking about the primary? Because you did a whole thing.
Apparently, Like for the rest of the primary, the guess is Buttigieg fans, Klobuchar fans took their marching orders. The DNC established that your candidate get out of the race. Mm-hmm. All those Cali people 3 days planning to vote for Pete.
All of a sudden.
And all of a sudden he's gone, and they actually, now I figured they'd vote for him anyways. I thought there might be like, if you're going to follow
That's where
one
you
of
got to
these
wonder
more...
if the votes were even real. The Democrat Party does not.
The Cali delegation is
Conspiracy
illegitimate.
theories. Let me bring the
does-
music back here.
It's not even conspiracy.
Yeah, what about the...
When during Bernie, they took it right from him.
And that's all in all.
Hillary was getting the delegates while Bernie was winning the race.
When Trump says
that's not even conspiracy.
When Trump says that the DNC primary was rigged, he's not lying. It's true. He doesn't explain it exactly correctly, but he's right around it.
There's nothing legally binding the Democrats to hold fair primaries.
Nothing.
They're a private entity.
We choose this. There was a unity reform compromise where Bernie's people
I was
got
just going to bring this up.
They got together with Hillary's people, 11 and 10, and they came up with, they were tasked eliminate superdelegates.
Yeah.
What did they do? They moved them to the more powerful position in what will be an inevitable broker convention. If we do not pick, if the people, us, the Democrats, do not pick the establishment candidate that they want, they will choose it for you.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the play in 2024, 2028, until they're either disbanded or you break this rule up and eliminate superdelegates from the selection process. You do not have a voice.
Or people need to start voting third parties.
Yeah,
we need to have more parties.
To be if ever there was a year, Craig, if ever there was a year for a third party,
right.
Where are they?
But it's because they're so worried about the other candidate winning.
I know. All the libertarians I know are going back. They want to vote libertarian, but
but
it's
you can't
too
afford
important.
It.
Yeah,
you can't afford to lose. You can't afford for him to.
Kanye's people look to be going.
Supreme Court.
Kanye's people look to be, because in some states, in Philly and Chicago, if Trump can pull 3 to 5% more of the black vote, that could be the game. He could win. But if Kanye pulls them, it could be Trump loses by 2%, and Kanye gets 3%.
Right.
So
and that
what percentage of the, what
I'm not saying Kanye should drop out. I like Kanye and I support this endeavor that he's doing, but there's a risk here.
What percentage of the black vote do you think it takes to
15%?
Automatically.
If the Republicans can get
15,
that number to
I was
15.
thinking 25.
Automatic.
Like where they?
I think that's a blowout. I think you're talking 50-state sweep if they start getting inner city African Americans at 30%.
It's over at that point,
over.
right?
That's
okay. That's what I would think too.
That's over. And it's almost more specifically, black men between 20 and 40 don't vote as much.
Exactly.
Because what do they have to vote for? I mean,
keeping somebody home a vote for Trump?
A not vote for your opposition is a point away from your other team. The goal is to take a point from your other team and get them on. I am a point going from the Democrats to vote every time to the Republican. Yeah.
Because it could have been yours.
It's good you should not disenfranchise voters and make it harder for them to vote. But you can break their will to vote for the candidate. Like and I say Biden did that himself. When Biden came out and said, "You are not black if you don't vote for me," that was an open challenge that people was making.
Right.
That was, as your individualism, that
was tough.
So you only voting for Democrats because Biden told it to?
Exactly.
You scared you're not black?
It's like telling somebody not to push the button. They're going to push the button.
You're asking for it. And
all right. So it is election night eve.
It's election night eve.
We need to talk about
the
election.
Yeah.
We talked about how we got here.
I think we've done enough on fuck the polls is enough. Is the next topic on the transition. Yeah, they're doing the same thing that they were last year. Mm-hmm. The numbers, I guess Biden's up by 1 or 2 fake points more.
Yeah.
We're getting into these gambling lines here soon, it's a little bit closer than you would think.
And I think Donald Trump's actually coming back in it now. The Vegas lines.
To check what the current, it should be. To me, the market going up today was a sign of some people thinking Trump can win. It was not. Biden was trying to say it was a sign of him doing better on the numbers, which he's not.
No, the sell-off was because people think Biden's going to win. The last week's sell-off.
Yes.
That's definitely what was going on there.
I think this little recovery.
I could see that. Because
whether you like it or not, they're going to add regulations to these companies. It's going to drive down profits.
Oh, I want to ask you.
That's what they want.
I definitely want to ask you about the fracking thing about Joe Biden and all that. I mean, that's got to be.
Oh yeah.
Which I thought was total rhetoric.
He can't. He's not.
Craig has spent years in and around the fracking
He'll add regulations and stuff.
Yeah, but it's not going to kill the industry. I don't know what everyone's so worried about on that side.
We can't. Like, it's just a talking point.
It is, but when
the phasing out,
the Republicans are like, Joe Biden's going to take away fracking, which, by the way, the ads are worse than usual, and I think it's because there's no money to spend on actual rallies anymore, and so they just have to pump everything into TV. But regardless, the whole fracking thing kills me.
What a lot of people don't realize either now is I haven't worked on a diesel powered frac pad in probably a year.
Really?
It's all electric. So they take the natural gas out of the ground, right? And it's clean burning, and they use that to create electricity. So they put these turbines on the locations. They use that natural gas to fuel it, and then everything's run off of that. So it's a lot less. There's no when you look at our pads before, there was smog over top, real bad haze. It looked you could tell
that there was something going on there. Yeah,
that's not there anymore. It's all clear. The air's way more clean.
Well, it's just like any industry, it was gonna be wild west in the beginning.
I think you let public opinion force it. It's public opinion, because the locals want those electric fleets.
Yes.
They don't want to see all that crap in the air, and they don't want the noise.
But we had this whole debate during the Pennsylvania governor's election 8 years ago. I mean, this was coming out of college 8 years ago.
Yeah.
And this was it. I mean, this was the major. We talked about it. We were like, oh, Democrats want to and I was
we were on the understanding too that it would break, they can somehow contaminate the water, that you could light your faucets on fire.
Yeah,
they were claiming that. But
there's that documentary.
But they also had that follow-up documentary where they went in and the guy had jugs in his garage and he sank.
There's definitely
he couldn't prove it. He couldn't prove it on
the deep injection wells and the earthquakes and all that. I do think is real though. I have to be on that side of it.
There could be earthquake action from it, I guess.
Yeah,
but the injection part. You're
getting the earthquakes from the injection part. So I mean, regardless,
but contaminating the water.
You're
not pumping into a water table.
What I really didn't like about fracking was it brought everybody in from Texas and Louisiana, North Dakota, to Western Pennsylvania.
Alaska doesn't pay income tax. They charge Texas their income tax.
But it's like all these people are getting paychecks from a different state. I mean, they're not coming here and buying houses and putting their kids.
They're still paying
schools.
Their income tax here. We don't let people get
just
away
on the
with
money that they make here. But I mean, their residents. Well, their residence is still out of state.
They're still spending money here every day,
but
more money than me.
They're not paying local property taxes.
I guess they're not paying local property taxes.
It would be nice.
But if they're renting in a place here, that person is paying property taxes. If they're staying in a hotel here, that's helping the economy, and that's also.
I'm not disagreeing with any of that, but all I'm saying is people aren't coming in here and laying down their roots and filling up our empty towns again.
Do we need that?
I mean, I've been looking at an empty town all around Westmoreland County for a very long time now. So
I mean, I think it keeps our house.
All I'm saying is I don't think fracking wasn't the savior that we all thought it was going to be here in Western Pennsylvania. And it's a boom and bust industry. So the whole topic of debate, for it to come in at the last hour of this presidential debate, just has me irate. And it's all because of Western Pennsylvania being a
there are a lot of locals that work in these industries.
And Biden,
my whole company.
I mean, you're a local working in the industry. I can't disagree with that, but and
Biden has taken aggressive stances both ways. He said rather ridiculous things both ways.
That's because it was such an issue 8 years ago. So you had to say radical things if you were a Democrat at that time. And now that we've all toned it back and accepted it and taken it,
have the Democrats toned it back?
Back to
the whole conversation just went away. So yeah, I'm calling it that tone back because they just haven't made it an issue anymore. So,
but it is.
It is now at the last minute. It was it wasn't really an issue.
If you go ask AOC today,
energy was not on the agenda for the last 5 presidential debates.
The plan is for fracking to be obsolete within 10 years. A phased down approach where we find other green energy stuff so we can stop fracking. That is their plan. So if you want a career in fracking, it's not going to be here in 10 years.
If the Democrats are.
Yes. And so that's
that's their idea. It's not really going to happen because it's going to be so expensive to go to a different form of energy.
The way the economy.
All of our houses around here are either electric that are coal burning, around here, I think it's coal.
Using less energy.
Or natural gas.
I will say the cracker plant pretty much solidifies the industry because if you're going to have that kind of thing up there in Beaver County, then.
In everyone's house, if you're heated by gas, is natural gas.
What else are we talking about here today, Greg? I'm tired of talking about fracking.
Okay. Before we get to the predictions, this is how we're going to do the predictions.
Yeah.
2 unknown variables I have going in. I'd like to know what you guys think about them. Who people blame for the pandemic lifestyle. I know a portion of Democrats that do not like the lockdowns, but think that the only reason we might have to do it again is because we didn't do it right the first time. I know some Republicans that disapprove of Trump's handling of the COVID because he did any kind of lockdown and allows anyone to do a mask. So which one of those do you think there are a lot of people in those buckets? Are they going to be reliable voters? If you're a libertarian Trumper and you're looking at his lockdowns as communism, he's the one who's let these states just go rogue. or if you're a Democrat who hates the lockdowns, but listens to Biden say he doesn't want to lock down, and Fauci doesn't want to lock down, and Andrew Cuomo doesn't lock down.
Are you saying what do I think? Like the opinion, like the majority think?
Do you think those two segments of people that I've just the Republican
are a big section,
Republicans who disapprove of Trump's handling of the COVID because he let any lockdown happen, and Democrats who are still supporting Biden even though they're vehemently anti-lockdown. They do not want to go into lockdown. They don't want to wear masks, but they think we only have to.
I think they're willing to do it because they think it's punishing Trump.
Yes.
That's why they're willing to do it.
Do you think... Because I think are they going to vote? Are they going to vote on that?
I think the people in those categories are diehard supporters.
Well, we've always said that a third of voters are going to go that way.
I think the majority
a third is going to go the
people-
other way, and a third is going to be undecided. So, yeah, you're going to have people that are going to be diehards on either side of this issue, for sure.
I'm saying is, to me, this issue is I don't care if you're pro-choice. I don't care about the Supreme Court. I don't care.
Any other issue.
Fracking.
Any other issue.
Lockdown is, your stance on that is going to affect my view on you.
Yeah.
So
the single issue, I don't know.
And it just became one.
I think
we did not elect any of these local leaders based off lockdown being in. None of us said what we wanted on this. Now we're getting a chance to.
Yeah.
And I'm hearing different. I'm confused when I hear Republicans who are against lockdowns yell at Trump and Democrats who are for lockdowns or not for lockdowns support Biden.
The lockdown is like paying taxes. Everybody hates it. Because the lockdown sucked, right?
No, everyone doesn't hate it. No, a third of the economy made money. Germaphobes feel vindicated, and there's a portion of the public that likes going around right
there
now.
was a lot of businesses that benefited from this.
There's a lot of people that stayed home.
I guess
that got paid more to stay home. That went out and rioted at night where they were getting paychecks. They were scared to go out and work.
At the government's expense, at our long-term future tax dollars expense. You know.
So we're paying that. So that's a huge tax.
As far as we're all losers, we're all in this together.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. That's not how this is felt.
Now, what I
since
do
day
think
one.
is the latest wave that's happened here, and if you are conspiracy theory, which I think
up, dude.
I'm looking at you, Craig, when I say conspiracy theory on the COVID thing.
Well, you could go.
Someone who might just think that the numbers are made up, because you know what, that was creeping into my head at some point. Like, okay, who can really trust these numbers? They're just numbers on a spreadsheet. Like, are we really going out there and independently counting all these sick people and everything?
We're not doing autopsies on 200 people.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. People. So it's just really hard to say exactly for sure this is what's happening and where, and this is the most accurate, up to date. This is real time information and all that kind of stuff. And so I felt that, especially in summer. It's like, all right, we got to.
And they give them an advantage.
Lockdown forever, what are we gonna do? So
do you think
they give them a financial incentive to mark the death off as COVID?
And the unemployment rate goes up to 16.5%.
If it was the word influenza, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Spanish flu. Mm-hmm.
There's two ways to die. Is that what word am I missing? I don't know.
Just tell us how we can die, Craig.
There's multiple ways to list someone death. Yeah. You can list someone dead of the flu, pneumonia, or COVID.
But you're either going to die from a heart issue or something respiratory.
Yeah.
And if it's respiratory, or might as well just mark it off as COVID at this point.
Yeah. And I've heard a lot of hospitals saying basically, oh, we're calling things COVID because we're getting government funding for treating it. And you know what? That's probably exactly what's happening. If I was a hospital. And hospitals lost money during this too. Let's not forget.
Yes, because they said
they stopped doing their normal.
Yeah,
they stopped doing the surgeries that made money.
They're built to operate 110%, and
the whole reason don't want to do that. The whole reason for the lockdown was to make sure that they weren't over jam packed in there. But it turned out they could have just continued.
Which I think definitely solidifies the fact that we need national health care, because when you have a pandemic like this, you can just say we're going to pay for it, and you have that leverage to do it.
Whether you get a vaccine or you get good old fashioned herd immunity the natural way over the next year, we're all going to get it. As a population, that's what the herd is.
People are going to die.
Right now, the Democrats' argument is that COVID should be labeled a pre-existing condition.
Yeah.
So you're going to give everybody on the planet everything that happens to them after COVID, since we don't know it could have been caused by COVID.
But see, Greg,
we're going to cover it now.
But that's the ticket into national health care, because if you're just calling everything,
that's a scary ticket. Wait, I know. Did you just realize that that's kind of tricking people? I get that that's where the Democrats are going.
People.
They are not.
It is
saying
what
that.
it is.
When they say
there's
we're going
a massive virus going around, and you got to call it a pre-existing condition. If your body touched it, and I think at this point probably most bodies in the world have.
Having had the flu is not having had a pre-existing condition.
Yeah, but nothing like this has happened in
Having
our
chicken
lifetime.
pox
COVID should not be a.
It's not a pre-existing condition.
It's not going to continue to cause you problems.
It's more than that, though. I mean, we don't know the long-term implications, and I think that's really what the doctors.
But it seems like it's another.
And think the science is safe to say now. Until we start seeing extremely strange abnormalities, this is just.
Yeah, but we might not see that for 20, 30, 40 years now down the road.
We can see today that the fatality rate is getting lower. As more people get infected, the percentage of people that die is going farther and farther down.
It's just there's new viruses all the time that we don't know about, and we don't consider those pre-existing conditions. So why is this a unique virus that's happening that just happens to be super contagious? I guess.
Yes, exactly. It's the
so
super
it's contagious, but
part.
It's not really that deadly.
It could be deadly in the right context. I mean, that's where we're getting like really into the whole scientific research of it here.
Riding roller coasters.
You're talking percentages here, though. I mean, like you're talking one pre-existing condition mixed with another pre-existing condition that increases death more than 100%. So it adds to the overall propensity to die, pretty much. So
I had interpreted that as where this is going. Do you think that I don't believe that has been out front. Democrats have been up front.
About what?
About when they say nationalize health care.
Mm-hmm. Oh, no. They haven't been up front about this. This is me reading between the lines.
Okay.
Yeah.
But using COVID as a pre-existing condition as an end around to get national health care over all issues, which is pretty radical. When the country has no money.
Because here's the problem. We see, to bring it back to the
country has no money to fund.
We just don't have money right now. And if you were obese, if you weighed...
We found the money to pay everybody all that money. So the money is available.
Okay. No, they printed it. Yeah,
and they exactly. So the government could do it to get it. They really needed to. All right.
At what cost, though? At what cost?
To keeping the... Okay, so the hospitals are losing money, right? Because they're not doing like bariatric surgery anymore. Because, and
that's why the WHO came out, the WHO came out and said... we shouldn't have locked down because the impact was worse than the
yeah, but that money had to come from somewhere. Whether you're paying the hospitals or you're paying people to stay at home, what's the difference? That's your excuse.
I just don't think you can just keep printing money. Our U.S. dollar is going to go down through.
Listen, the Democrats just need an excuse to spend money. I think that march is pretty much clear. If the pandemic, it could be a good opportunity for them to get this through.
Okay.
Especially if we're going to count the whole thing pre-existing condition. If they can get that through, then it'll work.
2 more questions for you, Alec.
Okay, I only answer one.
They're going to because they're going to be different. They're going to be relatable, but there's going to be a seamless transition.
Okay.
350-pound guy gets COVID, survives it.
I'm only 250, Greg.
Survives it. No, we're talking morbidly obese here. I'm talking someone that we can all argue
that
this person is probably going to have a heart attack.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that COVID's going to cause it. It's the weight that's going to cause it.
Obviously, somebody that heavy would be treated in insurers' eyes differently.
If they get the COVID,
right? I see where you're going.
And they're coming
in
and they're going, it's not my weight.
Are you going to treat that the same as like Tom Brady?
No. Are you going to treat that as if he has a heart attack, he can't claim that obesity is something that he should have been covered for. That is not obesity is not a pre-existing condition. If he has diabetes, then that is a pre-existing condition that increases your chance. So you should be covered. But obesity is not diabetes. Yeah, but COVID is not diabetes.
If you're obese, you're a much higher likely of having diabetes.
And that's on you.
There's probably some other complications there causing your pre-existing condition.
So then you get diabetes, and then you get coverage for that, and then you have the heart attack, and you get coverage for that.
The alternative is just not helping that person at all, though.
Why not just
the alternative is making him pay like $50,000 a month for insurance?
Why not?
What
if you just went to like the health savings account and just let people use money tax free? The government doesn't touch that money at all.
Okay, fine. You get a tax break on your money that you need to spend on that national health care.
That's a lot of money. To not pay any taxes when you receive the money.
But you need to have that money saved up first. Okay?
Yeah, like a 401k.
Yeah, exactly. Just
so
like a 401k. Out of your paycheck. If you don't have a 401k when you retire, then you're relying on the government through Social Security to get through the rest of your life.
Another choice problem. And that's why you get shitty Social Security that can't even.
I'm not saying not everybody shouldn't have a health savings plan, although that's not in all insurance policies that you can even have that option to do tax.
You have to have the high deductible plan.
Exactly. Right. But then then you get sick and you need to tap that, then you're dolling out $20,000 out of your paycheck.
I have the high.
Whatever.
This is the one I have. It's $5,000.
Yeah. Okay.
And then I'm fully covered.
But that's a lot. It's still a lot of money.
But if I put $5,000 tax free out of my paycheck, that's not. It's a lot of money, but
the private sector has tried. Okay, all I'm saying is
where they screwed up was that people were insured by a company. They would get a pre-existing condition, and then they would get dropped after they got the pre-existing condition.
Right.
That's bullshit. If you have the insurance already and then get the pre-existing condition,
but
the insurer should have to provide the rest of the way because you were paying that insurance.
Yeah, and this is where that
would drive rates up.
And this is where insurers are hawks, and they get in beds with usually Republican politicians to say we want to have the leeway to change an insurance policy on somebody halfway through their insurance, which government should be like, whoa, that's bullshit. We're not going to let you do that. But Republicans are like, as long as I get rich off an idea like that, then we're all for it.
And that's not just the Republicans. That's all the politicians. We're seeing
both
that
sides
right
of
now.
the aisle. I'm saying normally it happens to be
that's
traditionally Republican.
That's why my solution is to go the other way, where you give the politicians less power. Giving the politicians more power, what do you think they're going to do with that? More control over your health care? You think they're just going to stop?
Democracy, the power is supposed to be with the people.
So give it back to the people. That's why my solution is the other direction.
That's why voting is so important, Craig.
Don't let the politicians be able to make money off of their system.
All right, I'm bringing the music back because we got to get into prediction time
Alec
here.
Comey checklist. he was a moderate Democrat here. Still is a moderate Democrat, but moderate Democrats are casually talking about nationalized health care, which is it's casual
in their living rooms.
They're kind of
which Obama knew he couldn't even pass when he was in office and had to start with.
Next question, Alec. Now, do you see how annoying that is also? So far, this has not been a popular health mandate to a lot of people for a long time. Mm-hmm. Now using pandemic as a reason to ram it down their throat, does that seem to be the best political way to...
Listen, it's a strategy.
It is a strategy. That is
I'm not saying it's a perfect strategy. I mean, a lot of people say 9/11 was a strategy. Go to war with Afghanistan.
Alec, I'm going to pose a scenario for you and Craig.
Okay.
Both you guys tell me what would you do? What do I guess know? What should the government do?
Okay.
20-year-old. This year, first time that she's going to get the vote, super excited about the election. She has had cancer since she was 4, battled it, has been in and out of the hospital. She started working for a campaign, just passed away last week.
Okay.
She already casted her mail-a vote in 3 months ago when she had the opportunity to.
I'm sure this happends.
This has probably happened a few times.
This is happening. This is happening right now.
And then there's also people probably voting after they die.
Do you think the government does let this vote count? Do you think it should let this vote count? Both those questions.
I don't think they should, because I think the vote they should have to be alive on election day. Because I really believe that you should have to go to the polls unless you happen to be working. Like
we were just listening to what you said 4 years ago about this on the last podcast.
And hold on, let me answer this and then tell me what I said.
I think you gave the same answer.
Am I consistent?
I think go ahead.
But I believe that it should. I mean, you should have to go to the polling station the day of the election,
right?
Unless maybe you did plan a vacation for this time and you can't be here, or you have to work out.
We always had absentee ballots for that reason.
For those reasons, right? But it shouldn't just be for your convenience to be sitting at home. Yeah. You should have to. It should be a struggle, and you should have to.
In 2016, we were debating that you didn't want absentee balloting. No ballot but election day. Yeah. See how far we've come now that people understand the difference between absentee ballots, which you make a request for, is certified, specially enveloped, and counted 4 months in advance, and you just get sent a ballot because your name's on the voter rolls.
Right.
And the Democrats have zero incentive, or Republicans, if you're a staff worker, your job is to have as big a list of people to give to the field organizers when they come into your local county. You have no incentive to take names off your list. If someone moves, if someone gets married, if someone passes away.
That's why I keep getting so many text messages like, am I going to vote? Like, are you counting me 19 times in a poll? Because I think that's what's happening.
Shannon moved polling districts. So in one world, she's on some voter roll as Shannon Aaron from one area.
Yeah.
Shannon Murphy is now registered. No, your name stayed the same.
So you couldn't.
True. Women only.
She's
get the
two different people.
When women change their name, if a woman changes her address,
so she could theoretically vote twice, is what you're saying.
If she changes,
it's like Bruce
address
and
her name.
Bruce still gets the vote over here for whoever he wants.
If she changes her address and her name, I know one person. I don't want to reveal their name because I know they're not voting twice. But this is sketchy. I know one person specifically who got 2 ballots. They changed states. Yeah. I don't want to give any more details to give them away, but they changed states.
Right, but this could be happening a lot.
She gets an X ballot under their state. Yeah. Just got her home house had a ballot sent to her.
And then how many people are going to try to mail in a ballot and then show up?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
How many people are going for that?
I mean, you have to be trying to rig the election purposefully to do something in this scenario what we're talking about.
Cheating has never been so easy.
Yeah.
It has never been so easy.
No, I have a problem.
You had to do a lot.
I have a problem with the mail-in ballot. I think it's too easy. for fraud. I think it's just too easy to cheat the system. Well, I kind of agree with Craig here, where it's like, yeah, you need to be in person, you need to be alive, breathing, and well. Like, if you're too elderly to get out of your bed and go vote, then it's not like church where we can just bring the priest to you. You know what I mean?
I'm not saying take a test. I'm not saying take a test or pay anything. I'm just saying you have to physically care enough to take time out of your day.
And also, if you're dependent on, especially the government, I mean, this is a personal stance I have. You shouldn't be voting. Like, so if you're I even talked to my grandfather about this, and he agreed, and he's on Social Security.
That's a little radical.
He said that he doesn't believe that he should get a vote either.
Well, I understand the argument, but
because
I don't, but whatever.
You're incentivized. The politicians then are incentivized to get your votes by giving away stuff.
This is the old Republican.
Well, it's the founders.
In a democracy, all people can vote.
Yeah, you didn't vote unless you had land.
So mine's less radical. Let the slaves vote. That's what.
Yeah, mine's less. Craig, that's where that argument goes. Yeah, because they're dependent on the state.
Yeah.
So,
but people dependent on the government.
That's what the Democrats want.
If you're mentally incapacitated, if you're ruled insane, I don't know if that's someone that should be like. I tell me who's getting the insane vote. When you tell me that Joe Biden has picked up 30,000 felon votes that are just been registered because Michael Bloomberg paid their fine, it doesn't make him look good.
Yeah.
And I don't think they're going to help. I don't know if 30,000 is really enough on that. I don't know how you get these people. So you don't have to get them to the polls now. You just got to mail the ballot.
Yeah.
Which
here's the thing. Before is the absentee ballots before they never actually really ever needed to count them because usually you had. 95% of the votes for that polling district were in person. You would withhold
organizers would withhold
unless it was close enough, and then you would go in and count them, and that system worked because.
Oh God,
now we're gonna go 80% mail-in ballots. They're not. How many people dropped them off, and all the secrecy panel, and they teach you how to vote on the television and all this stuff.
Even if my annoyance with the mail goes even beyond the chances for fraud, I know Democrats like to argue you don't have any examples of any of this. It's never been possible. Yeah. It's never been this easy to cheat.
Yeah.
Throughout our history, it's been a crime. You do time in prison, and you'd have to go through a lot of work to change outfits to go to polling places to cast one vote that might not otherwise matter. Yeah. It was just...
And you need 40 of you out there.
Massive operations of this, not just casual one and that. Now, this just allows really people to cheat and then say they didn't know they did. I just sent in both of my ballots.
Right.
Someone's parents go, I thought you wanted to send in. Mm-hmm. You get it sent to your college house. You didn't know that your parents sent in your ballot. There's 1,000 ways the fraud could happen.
I didn't even think of that one.
There's
probably so many
I should have these all written down in a list in ways that you could cheat the mail.
Many ways.
Can we get to the predictions now?
That's okay. My question with these predictions is, and what's tough, we're going to look here, is the unenthusiastic voter. In 2016, one of the main ways that all of us knew PA was going for Trump was because you saw 60, 70 yard signs on your way to Pittsburgh.
You don't see that. You don't see that anymore.
No, you still see it.
You still see it to a lesser degree.
What was noticeable is you did not see Clinton. What was always remarkable about Clinton is she charged for signs. Mm-hmm. Well, Joe Biden gives out his signs for free, so
as he should.
Which they're still outdone 2-1. But that's
at least you see Biden because you didn't see any Hillary.
Not in this neighborhood. There's a lot more Biden than Trump here.
In Greensburg, I'm surprised how Biden is.
Fort Allen's
like
pretty split.
The actual town of Fort Allen. I drove through Fort Allen the other day, which is traditionally rural Hempfield Township.
Yeah,
I mean Hempfield Township.
Fort Allen's the classic suburbs.
Yeah, classic suburbs. But I mean, we were driving through Latrobe the other day and couldn't believe how many Biden signs we saw. I mean, in the actual town. Now you get out in the surrounding because the Trump house is there. I mean,
and they just hand you out swag.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you're just getting the swag, and then so it's like, oh, Latrobe's hard red, and the president came in there, and they had that big rally there and everything. I don't know. I mean, I think traditionally, towns like Ligonier and Latrobe have always been pretty liberal, actually, because you had a lot of intellectuals that lived out there hiding away in their little coves. I mean, all the urban centers were. I mean, that was where the Democrats hid, in those little urban towns throughout Westmoreland County.
Small amounts. Just
small amounts.
I don't know about liberal adults. Maybe high school
anywhere
kids.
where there was density. Like Jeanette was a working town. That was all union.
The kids that didn't have to go work at the factories yet.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, Latrobe was a working class town. I mean, that was, you had unions there. You had Blue Dog Democrats, and then it was the rural farmer and all that always voted red and Republican, and you had that classic suburban divide out here. But yeah, no, I think it's gonna be a lot closer in Westmoreland than people think. I think Erie will go hard blue because that went red for Trump for the first time since Reagan. And if you look at other Western Pennsylvania counties, I don't know what will go blue. It's going to be Allegheny and Erie. I think are the only two. You know, you might
Philly.
get. Oh yeah, I mean, I'm talking on the western half of the state.
Yeah,
but I'm talking like
Harrisburg over there too.
Altoona, though, I don't think Altoona and Johnstown go blue.
I'm hoping. See, I think if you're comparing our sides of the state, a good thing to look at is the difference between Philly healthcare and Pittsburgh healthcare. We have a lot more private insurers with UPMC's partnership with Pitt. We have some advanced medicine on the west side of the state.
We do, yeah.
Philly public hospitals suck ass. They were built to be too small to save space. They aren't built for anything related to social distancing. Mm-hmm. That's why they had to lock down so hard. It's because they didn't have the hospitals. We did out here. It wasn't like we're just a bunch of poor podunk rural counties that you don't have a hospital. We have Lake Trobe has its own hospital.
Yeah.
Jeanette has a hospital.
Not anymore.
They had
a new one. Yeah.
Oh, that new one. Yeah, technically in Hempfield Township, but
okay.
Yeah.
Hempfield has 2 hospitals. That's how prepared we are.
Yes, exactly.
It's like there is generally we were fine, and so I'm hoping that the people here saw that.
Yeah,
is we never got to a case where the case count was ever
we were set up out here really for something like a pandemic.
But you got the Med Expresses on every
oh yeah, no, we value healthcare around here, if nothing else.
But Wolf did not let us really go.
That's
by
our
county.
economy.
He locked us down uniformly and then put us on the coloring book system, where once you get green, it resets itself and you get to go back to 50% open now. And it's like, what color? I'm changing you back to red. Like, no, I like being yellow. What does green even mean? We're not open. Green's 25%. What's next? Do I get platinum? What's the next color?
You had a lot more racial stuff going on the eastern side of the state too. I mean, I think that played into it. Inner cities
get hit harder. That does not mean that black people are more susceptible to COVID.
But you had more.
Means that
no, it doesn't.
Areas that social spread more. They're getting their immunity.
You live next door to people. Plus,
I mean, you see it more often, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Out here in the white suburbs, you know,
we're separated.
There's a black guy every other person, you know. So it's like, you know, we just worry. I always called it the Greensburg bubble. You know, you're just kind of like living in this like kind of little false reality of what's really going on in the rest of the world. And everyone around here is like, why are there riots? We don't understand. And it's like, well, I mean.
Then you go to downtown Greensburg and there's like 50 white liberals laying on the ground with their faces down.
They don't like to go below Pittsburgh Street if you're going up toward the stadium. They think that's a bad part of town. Yeah. You know, it's like compared to the other side of Main Street where it's good, like I don't really understand. It's all the same. Yeah. But
to lead into the predictions, my concern was it is this role of the unenthusiastic voter. Is I just think that there were a lot of people who...
I don't think you have that as much for this election. I think that there's a lot of enthusiasm going around.
Listen to this scenario, the way our laws are currently written. You're a liberal that knocked a bunch of doors for Bernie, don't particularly like Biden at all, but have bought into we have to do this to save the world, and don't worry, AOC is going to run this anyways.
Okay.
You go to the polls, you expect maybe you have to wait 15 minutes. It's an hour. Do you really think any of those people are going to wait an hour to go vote for Biden? Anyone that's feeling like that, they didn't want to vote for him. They just showed up because they feel it's their duty. And if they can give a convenient excuse not to, if they can say, I have a job, I have a prior commitment, the line's too long. Okay, you tried, you virtue signaled, you went and made the effort, you took a picture of the...
Yeah, they're still going to take their picture.
Yeah, you went there. You actually made this a thing. Are you going to wait? Now, I say no. What you're going to do is you're going to go home. You're going to get your mail-in ballot that has been sitting there for 4 months that you didn't do because after 3 months, you still don't want to vote. Like, all you do is send in a letter to vote for Biden. If you really want to, you still didn't do it. In PA...
You stuck it right there with the census mail.
Theoretically, you can go down.
Nobody does the census. Come on.
Grab it, and as long as you put it postmarked by 8 and stick it in the mail, that counts.
So I'm going to go vote in person tomorrow, and I got to bring the ballot that I requested to mail in so they can shred it at the polling place.
I'm glad
do you have to do that?
Yeah, you have to bring, because we got them mailed in, and then we were like, we're not doing that.
I'm very glad that
now I have to. So if I'm going to vote in person, I have to bring it with me so they can take it or confiscate it or
what's
whatever.
bothering me about this, Alec? Now I'm just playing this out in the future here.
Okay, Greg. Why don't you just sigh about it a little bit?
How many people are taking your approach? Almost every Democrat got.
I don't know.
Just reflex was
because I didn't trust the mail-in voting thing, so I'm like, I'm going to go vote in person now.
Right now, I guess what I didn't know and what I couldn't figure out is they keep getting concerned about the number of people who have not returned their mail-in ballots.
Yeah,
right. And I'm looking at that and I'm going like,
Those people are obviously...
These people aren't even real that you're sending ballots to. Like, yeah, they didn't fill it out. You send it to an empty address. It was just some old name on a roll.
Just to try to get more people to participate.
Well, that's what I keep talking about my text messages. How many times am I being counted here, you know?
If you did not, if your letter was not delivered to the post office by election day, it does not count.
Right.
If you decide...
That's why they're telling them to drop them off at these polling places.
Right now, the Supreme Court rules that you can put it in the mail at 7 o'clock on November 3rd, tomorrow. After not wanting to wait in line, after being able to send this mail, you've had it for 4 months. Now you're going to expect that we all have to wait 5 days for your pretty little envelope to show up and count. I mean,
if you wait to the last day,
you don't care about.
If you wait to the last day, you got to show up in person. It's pretty much that.
Come on. So yes, but no, right now you don't, and I think there's going to be a certain portion of the PA population that is sending their ballots through the mail today, Saturday, Sunday, and tomorrow.
Kind of a bold prediction here would be Pennsylvania goes into a Florida 2000 situation.
And there's just a box of votes.
Yeah.
And they go, if you
and
count
they're like,
them,
oh, wait, we forgot
Trump's up 60,000.
It was the hanging Chad in
2000. Account.
Somewhere down in Altoona, they found 3 boxes not counted. It's going to decide the vote, you know.
and you can see where
and then they'll pop up everywhere. They're like, Erie, Williamsport. Oh, I found a box. Yeah. Manassas. Oh, okay. You know, and then it's like some podunk 80-year-old out in like Washington County is going to end up deciding the whole freaking election, you know. So
okay, let's get into the map here. Let's start doing some predictions.
All right, let me restart the music.
Where the audience has probably, if you were listening for a reason, this was probably what it was.
Yeah. You can fast forward.
Not to hear us opine on the state of healthcare.
We're at the hour mark right now, but then again, right around there is when you should be tuning in. Anybody listen?
Our healthcare debate was about as nuanced as the Democratic 12 fights they had in primaries. Yeah.
Greg, at least there was a healthcare debate. Okay, that's all I want to say.
Hopefully,
and fracking.
We got the music playing.
I got the music playing.
Do you want to pause for a second?
Okay, I'll pause.
No, don't pause the video. I'm just saying pause.
Yeah, no.
And now if we come back,
the music.
Okay.
Is that better?
Oh, no, I mean, if you started the music again, we can just reboot this show, kind of like it's starting now. So if
you could split it into different episodes.
So we could just have this part out for the people who want to get the main
you
part.
Could split out each conversation point too.
Yeah, so
smaller
just keep
segments.
talking.
Okay.
I bet you if you do it in smaller segments like that, you probably would get more attention.
Yeah.
People are more likely to listen to 20 minutes.
Who wouldn't want to listen to an hour and a half of us talk,
the people that they don't know.
That'd be great.
We have one audience member. Should we bring her in for some questions? Yeah. Oh, and the dog's been great. Shout out to the dog. What's his name again?
Chester.
Shout out to Chester here. My dog would be jumping all over us, yapping and screaming.
Chester would be too if he wasn't behind in the cage.
Yeah, see, that's what my dog hears. Like
so docile
goes crazy.
Who built the cage? Who built the cages?
Did you build the cage?
Who built the cages?
Somebody in America.
Who built the cages?
The kids in cages. Oh, yeah. Okay.
I thought this was like a U.S. manufacturing thing. No, I lost it. Okay. All right, so let's get into the predictions.
Starting with the predictions.
Yeah.
The lines we're using are off of bravado.com. They are from last night, so they have moved slightly since time speaking. If you're actually are gambling and looking at it, I mean, just which way it's moving is where the money's going. Mm-hmm. So if you're betting on the candidate that the line's going towards, that means a lot of other people are. I'd say that would be the kind of things that if you're going to talk instead of momentum in the polls, I would talk about the momentum in the lines. And how after an event happens, how their lines change. And like that to me is a more accurate reflection of who's willing to put money on it. When you bet on something, that's the enthusiasm. You can't just send in a mail-in ballot, and that's as equal to showing up at the polls and being ready to wait 3 hours.
So how involved is the betting? Can you like parlay different things and like prop bets?
You get ad points. You could. There were over 150 different bets. You can bet every different Senate race, every different primary race.
Oh, this is great. You can parlay like all that kind of stuff.
Win margins.
Somebody's making a lot of money off of this.
Off
of this betting.
All kinds of votes.
Yeah.
All kinds of bets. The 3 state now, if you're listening to the TV, Fox, CNN, anything but basically Rasmussen and what's the other one? Trafalgar. Trafalgar always has nice polls for Trump.
I don't even know who's
They're not accepted. They're not accepted by Nate Silver's poll of polls. They're not accepted.
Thank goodness.
I'm going to use Nate Silver instead of CNN as the person I'm referring to. In his modeling, his predictions, one of the ways that they like to say that Biden has a 90% chance of winning is they are writing off that the Democrats have a chance in Texas, Georgia, and Florida. So they're counting all 3 of those as swing states. Mm-hmm. If you take those 3 states away from the Republican Party, then that's going to be... They go from having... if we'll post this picture online, I have Trump with 241 delegates locked in.
Right.
Now that is all that's we're talking Utah... up to the Montana, all Nebraska, the Midwest,
Texas,
the Rust Belt leading up to. We're giving them Ohio,
the
Indiana,
South, Tennessee,
West Virginia.
You're giving them North Carolina too.
I'm giving them both of the Carolinas.
And Florida.
I'm giving them both the Carolinas, Georgia, Florida, and Texas.
Yeah.
I just don't see these lockdowns.
Virginia's still white though. You know,
yes,
that's still a toss-up.
Now CNN gives Virginia blue. Is calls it blue Democrats.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. Them being neighbors to a lot of states that are doing things differently. I think
Virginia's
lot of tourism.
Rural.
I think a lot of it's wealthy rural. The people that are living outside of DC that can afford not to have to live in the city.
Exactly.
And they every year they flip. So this is a state that is not usually.
I was going to say, what did they do?
The governor's a bastard. He's the
Obama
guy.
took it, didn't they?
How about this guy Nordstrom? I'm sure Craig has some.
The tax guy?
Notifications. No, the guy, the Ku Klux guy.
Yeah,
the guy that dressed it up. The guy that
Nordstrom. You know, the guy who dressed up as the KKK for Halloween.
Yes, and then justified it by saying,
did he do blackface?
I didn't even know that happened.
Michael Jackson. He did blackface to be Michael Jackson.
Yeah. Who is this guy? I don't even know who this is.
And
he's the governor of Virginia.
Because
he's the governor of Virginia.
The Democrats hide him. They hide him like the COVID.
Yeah,
they try.
He did the blackface thing.
Contain.
Yeah, okay, I do remember.
And then in his press conference, following it up, he justified it by he had to be Michael because he could moonwalk. And then he started getting ready to start moonwalking. His wife stops him.
Oh, boy.
Here we are a year later.
Oh, boy.
Trump makes fun of him for doing that and goes, he should have just moonwalked. And Trump's moonwalking at his rallies now. I mean, when I say moon, I don't.
He's dancing at his rallies.
He's walking backwards. He's walking backwards, doing that funky finger point clap. Yeah,
shaking his arms.
Doing his little thing.
Oh, God.
So
nothing worse than Donald Trump dancing.
Yeah, Ralph Nordstrom is the hide and bind strategy. He's one of those Democrats that the best thing that you could do is not let him out of the basement. Probably going to be the safest bet. So I think Virginia's in play. But with the red states specifically, why this is important is because if you give the states that I have on here, plus the Texas, Georgia, and Florida, that puts Trump at 241. You need, remember, the magic number, 270.
Thank you.
So all you got to do is find 29 votes. The Democratic states that I have locked.
I thought it was 30.
He's at 241, so 29, okay. And that's important because your model
to tie
has
it.
Them get the 272.
My model does have them at the tie.
There are several
ties. And then the vice president decides it, right?
No, I thought that was the House of Representatives.
Oh yeah, each house, depending on whether or not their state house is majority red or blue, gets to send one vote. So it would be 50 each state, one voter based off of who dominates the Democrat or Republicans in their house. Okay. They get to vote for.
Really? That's how.
That's how for 269, 269.
And then if it goes past that, then the vice president,
the Senate,
the Senate president or whatever. Okay.
That is a.
So what do you got?
You'll be hopefully if you're listening to this now and anyone else is. Yeah. If that happens, we will be covering that.
Oh,
there's 1,000 other models for that scenario.
We'll be zooming in together to cover that.
The 269 tie could be its own episode. That's like its own thing.
Okay.
But.
What do you have Biden at here?
Biden with his blue states, and we got California, the West Coast, we got Illinois, and I'm giving him most of the Northeast, except I'm not giving him PA, Jersey, or New Hampshire.
Right.
You could, most Democrats would give him New Hampshire. Or
Minnesota.
They'd give him Hampshire. Well, Minnesota's fucked up right now. Okay. New Hampshire, Jersey, and Virginia normally would be considered blue. I think if you what is that 27? New Hampshire, that's 31 more points. So I have Biden at 170 and 176, and if you give him those three more, that would take him up to 207. That would have a 241, 207 with PA, Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Colorado, New Mexico, Arizona, Nevada, and Alaska.
Just 3 electoral votes,
that's the only one that everyone has Alaska locked in red. I don't know where the fracking talk and the environmental
perspective is taking them.
And they're already socially distanced people, so practicing social distance for them isn't like when they hear the struggles.
I was watching that Building Alaska show, and they were like, "Oh, the pandemic hit, yeah."
They're kind of built. They're kind of built for it. So I could
like only one boat comes into port now.
They just passed that. I cracked
myself up.
The new mine that Obama blocked too.
Oh, did they?
That just happened over the
Yeah,
summer.
it was like the glacial.
I just know their ticker
symbol.
symbols knack.
See, so
I invested in them.
the liberals always said there's a lot of environmentalists up there. I think they'd be more pissed now than ever. Mm-hmm. So if the Democrats are all jazzed up and Republicans don't really care about COVID or Trump's handling of it.
It's only 3 points, though.
Exactly. It's only 3. And the other thing I don't have marked, I have with the exclamation mark.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Nebraska
won.
Can go the different ways.
I think that's going to go to Biden, but I think Maine won. Or Maine 2. Nebraska 2 and Maine 2. I think Maine 2 is going to go to. Yeah, they're each going to win.
Well, the reason why they're saying Pennsylvania is going to decide this election is because there's 30 electoral votes up for grabs in PA. So really
20. Sorry, that's hard,
20.
to remember. It's only 20.
Oh.
That's why we're 2 out of 3.
Terrible handwriting, Greg.
It's a Sharpie on a big map. I mean,
it's the biggest state. Write it bigger. You have all of the Northeast to go into with the 20.
Well, we had a fight about this on the last podcast.
Did we?
We did. And everyone was being hard on my map. And the issue is I start
with... Well, you hand drew it,
your last map did not look that good.
I know. The last map was solid.
This is good, though. But you have the different kind of, like, red lines and everything. Like,
The West Coast, is I start with Texas. I put in the middle. Texas is not in the middle. It's slightly to the left. So this all gets bigger.
That's bigger.
And I get cramped up here.
Yeah, Ohio's really tiny.
Yeah, the
Ohio and
Northeast
Indiana
just kind of gets shoved up there into the corner.
The same little thing.
Yeah.
But next time, start with the East Coast, and then...
It's there's all the little shapes.
Don't start with Texas.
It's easy to draw these squares. Because remember, I'm drawing it freehand, so you have nothing to proportion
to Texas to scale.
No, I mean, it's good for drawing a freehand, though. It's good for drawing a freehand.
That is a good Texas free, like just to scale there.
No, Texas is perfect.
Texas.
You just screwed up when you went west.
Yes, this is the magic board. We don't have CNN, Fox, Bill Hemmer capabilities here.
This is good. This is like 1957.
I think this is more informative, and I know how to work it.
Yeah,
I mean, I can press the little buttons.
I mean, you put in the effort.
I got coloring pencils here. We can
all
fill
right,
things
so let's go down the different scenarios.
Well,
here.
Do you guys have anything to lead anybody at home to believe that Texas or Florida and Georgia is in play?
My thing would be North Carolina. Maybe Georgia.
And North Carolina has a Senate seat. Patrick Tillis is up on the line.
I can see North Carolina potentially being a flip-flopping, going to Biden.
I'm concerned that same with similar
because they didn't take the pandemic seriously down there either.
No, they didn't. North Carolina and South Carolina are 2 totally different animals.
Yeah.
North Carolina shut down. North Carolina did masks on the beach,
but they did it late.
No, South Carolina did it late. South Carolina started with nothing. South Carolina went completely
Myrtle
rogue.
Beach really screwed them over. I could see Georgia maybe because of Atlanta. I mean, I think you're going to get a lot of votes out of Atlanta if that's going to carry most of the population there.
But my logic on not putting them on here is if Florida or Georgia go blue, that's over for Trump.
You think?
I don't think I don't think he can win.
Now, I thought Florida was closer than what they're saying for the Republicans.
That's what the Democrats are saying. I don't believe it is. I think Florida. I wish I lived in Florida. I think the people.
Get a better idea.
I think the people in Florida have had enough relatives call them and ask to take a visit from Chicago or Pittsburgh that they might not like DeSantis or Trump, but these lockdowns. I mean, Niagara Falls is done as a tourist destination.
Yeah.
Myrtle Beach is on its knees.
The thing with Florida is it's basically a home state for Donald Trump.
Yeah,
so
he loves Florida. Florida has the boat rally. I don't see it. I thought if this was ever going to happen, it was 2018 on a low turnout election with Andrew Gillum and Stacey Abrams, and they didn't pull it off. I don't think Joe Biden's going to manage to marshal more votes than they did.
Yeah.
To go down my thought here, though, looking at this board, if Trump takes Virginia, Arizona, and New Mexico...
Over. He wins.
No, that's 29, isn't it?
Yes.
This is what we said.
29 plus 241 will get you to 270.
Yeah.
That's the number you need.
That's the number you need. So that's the scenario I see.
269 is a tie.
That's the scenario I see playing out most. I think Colorado's going to go blue.
See, I
think Michigan will too.
Yes.
Wisconsin. You're saying Minnesota's weird? What's so weird about Minnesota?
Ilhan Omar and that's the birth of the Ferguson.
Oh, no.
Minneapolis was like the first city burned down to the ground during all of this. And if one was going to be affected...
My sister lives in Minneapolis, and she thinks it's hard blue. I mean, she lives in the heart of like Yuppieville.
I was going to say, she isn't down in the heart of the city.
Yeah, she lives in Uptown. I mean, it's like, that is the heart of the millennial.
It's tough to imagine what it would be like if Pittsburgh was like that, what things would be like around here.
Yeah.
Like how Greensburg would have been affected by those type of routes.
All right, so what are your predictions?
And like Minnesota is not this is Midwest. And the Democrats that they send to Washington are far left. Like you would think Minnesota, you get Amy Klobuchar.
Minnesota.
That's Amy K State. That's Amy K State.
Which so I never really liked her.
Clementon was not a thing.
Yeah.
Here's the model that Carl.
Do you not think there's a lot of people too that probably are a little upset that they shoved Biden down their throat? If you're a Democrat and you supported one of the other candidates,
yeah,
that they just shoved off.
As a Tulsi supporter,
you're not at all
I had
upset with that.
I mean, it's not for me to leave.
No, it's a good point. I mean, I would be.
I have tough. You really have to have Trump is either evil or a really defeated approach to how we win. The role of a Democratic Party is that we just have to win at all costs. You don't have to like the person at all.
I mean, who's honestly enthusiastic about Biden? It's just that they're upset. They hate. You have to hate Trump.
You think Hunter wants him running? No. You think Hunter's enjoying this? I don't know who in the world is enjoying Joe Biden's race.
Hillary Clinton.
Yeah. Kamala.
Yeah, Kamala's loving. She's loving the ride. Kamala.
Make sure you pronounce it correctly.
Kamala. Okay.
Now, if we go back to what's Karl Rove's scenario here, I have this written down exactly. This is the high likelihood, high drama outcome. If you keep the 2016 map the way that it is for every state except Florida, Arizona, North Carolina, PA, Michigan, and Wisconsin. So that's giving Nevada to the Democrats.
Yep.
That's giving Arizona to the Republicans. Right. New Mexico, Colorado going to the Democrats. Minnesota with the Democrats.
Right.
Illinois is in here with the Democrats. Virginia in here with the Democrats.
That's 2016.
Yes. Now that's also giving Texas in here. Mm-hmm. Leaving Texas.
Leaving Texas off?
No, leaving Texas and Georgia as red.
Okay.
Not as possible swing states.
Okay,
so the only swing states we have here are Florida, Arizona, North Carolina, PA, Michigan, Wisconsin.
Yeah.
If Trump wins Florida, North Carolina, and Arizona, and the rest, then all he will need to win is 2 out of the next 3 states. Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin. Mm-hmm. Any 2 of those will take him over the 270.
Let's talk about Pennsylvania, though, because I don't think it's going to Donald Trump.
I have a slightly different... If the votes...
Craig seems to agree with that statement.
I really don't know. But, the enthusiasm is definitely on Trump's side. I know a lot more people who are Trump.
I know a lot of people who switched.
Yeah, again...
I don't know anybody who's gone Republican to Biden. Or Trump.
I don't know
anybody that voted Trump in 2016 that would vote Biden now.
You see him on the billboards right on Route 30.
Yeah. Theoretically, these people are paid to resist the DNC ads. But I'm just talking to the friends I talked to. Any. I don't know of any.
I think it's going to be closer because I think you're going to get more turnout in the strong blue areas. Like I was talking about this, like Erie, PA went red. I mean, you didn't get any turnout for Biden. Any. Westmoreland County was like. I don't know if we have the numbers on Westmoreland County from last year, but it's going to be closer than it was last time. So if you bring all those notches up a little bit and you get a little bit more turnout from Philly and Pittsburgh, and then, you don't lose in Erie and you don't lose. I think they lost Allentown. They lost another one out east that was traditionally a blue area of the state. Trump was campaigning in Scranton. You really think you're going to win Scranton? That's kind of where Joe Biden's from.
No,
so,
Trump will win Scranton.
Yeah.
Scranton's red.
I don't think he will. Not Scranton.
Trump jokes about this. Biden was not. Biden is a senator from Delaware,
and it's a good joke.
Who has not spent a teenage year.
Yes, but you know how Pennsylvanians are. They're proud of anybody that ever set foot in their state that they can count as their own.
I think Scranton is more proud of Michael Scott in the office than they are of Joe Biden.
That's a fair point. That's a fair point. But at the same time,
he's never been a Pennsylvania office holder.
I think you had a lot of Democrats that stayed home.
No Pennsylvanian has ever said, "I vote for Joe Biden to rule me."
You had a lot of Democrats that stayed home 4 years ago, and
But you also had a lot of Republicans who didn't like Trump. And they went to third party or stayed home.
Here's the thing with the Republicans: that voter turnout is maxed out. I mean, they have the most enthusiasm.
They registered a ton of people in PA. They started this little. I did not like the idea, but they started an amateur get out the vote operation to just go make sure that everyone that is currently sending them money or goes to their rallies is registered to vote. And you would be surprised, just at the SMPJ alone, how many people, Trump supporters from before 2016 did not go vote for him, didn't even register, just love him.
A lot of the interviews they're doing at his rallies too are like that. They're finding those people all over.
They just don't. Voting wasn't something they liked. They wanted to go see Trump talk because they thought he's funny. They looked at it as more like going to a comedy.
Like any part with the government.
I mean, remember, even if you're talking low-informed people, they had a pretty good last 4 years, except for this year.
No,
like things were getting really good for everyone.
I'm not saying the enthusiasm isn't there for Donald Trump. All I'm saying is I think it's going to be closer. And I mean, Hillary didn't lose it by a lot last time, did she?
41,000.
Yeah,
Michigan was 10,000, and
like we're not talking. 37? If you're counting everybody that Hillary at least got last time. And you 41,000.
That's not me.
But I think Hillary's a better candidate than Joe.
And that's not me.
Wait, hold on. You thought Hillary was a better candidate than Joe?
Yeah, Joe's terrible. Joe, they can just make fun of Joe. He's like George Bush.
Here's the thing with
He's easier than George Bush.
Here's the thing with Hillary, especially in Western Pennsylvania, I think.
They literally put Biden in a trash can.
Yeah, but
they're preserving him with the lid.
The reason I disagree, though, is Hillary... Western Pennsylvania wasn't ready for a woman to be president. I think it's that simple.
I don't buy that. I don't buy that.
I don't buy that.
I think
that's well ingrained.
I don't think Western Pennsylvania does not want to be lectured to. When people say that Hillary Clinton was unlikable,
and that's exactly what she does.
If Candace Owens runs,
that's not what Joe Biden does.
No, Joe Biden tells a rambling story. He's your uncle.
He's that guy that you found in the corner of the diner up in like Vandergrift. You know,
before he gets too drunk. You know, the point in the evening where he's on 3 or 4 drinks and it's funny. He's just about to get wasted and start hitting on the hostess.
The witty old uncle that's kind of losing it.
Traffic jams
and
for senior citizens.
To pick Biden right now, while all
Democrats are getting together and just honking their horn in a circle because an old man is standing confused in the middle of them, like we're in the middle of Times Square and he's blocking New York City.
And these people aren't afraid to gather. They're gathering at all these protests and everything.
I did think it was weird that they said the protests weren't causing the pandemic to spread, but then like going to the bar was.
And they can't, and they have to go in their cars to rally.
Well, I know that makes me sound like a de facto Western Pennsylvanian, but I just didn't understand that one. You know,
on that lecturing note, because this is one big time issue I have is when a lot of people say that when you say a woman, because specifically when you say a woman, and usually that's when people use it, is referring to a woman as unlikable. A lot of our teachers growing up were mostly women.
Teachers are women.
So it's not like lecturing during COVID when you're scared and you want Cuomo, because let's take women out of it. Let's just refer to Andrew Cuomo because you want to talk about lecturing and just telling you what he knows the facts and data to be.
Yeah, but see, New York's never not going to go blue, so it doesn't really matter what he says or does.
Rudy Giuliani, like 15 years ago. Once the New Yorkers come to grips with what they've done, Niagara Falls is gone. New York downtown, done.
Like how many diners are going to have boards done like for the next couple of years?
You can. I mean, I love New York.
I read a good article about.
Think about all the diners around the place where they have all the plays at that. Listen, off of that
New York will bounce back. No, New York's not going anywhere.
How does it? Oh, no, they can't go anywhere. They don't have the money. New York's going nowhere. New York is sitting exactly where they're at for the time.
I read a really good article about how many times New York has bounced back in the past through pandemic and
they
war
never turned the lights off.
That.
They never shut the city down. The city didn't sleep. The city went through hard points, but it didn't just stick its head in the ground and give up. They didn't send those strong men up to the summit to beat the COVID, to conquer the curve. Yeah, you conquered the curve. You decimated the economy. You made everyone leave the city. First, you had capital migration and the people who could pay, who could afford their way out.
Friends I have in New York actually say people are leaving, but again, I don't know if that's really...
Why would you
just
stay?
a few people that they know or whatever.
You go to New York to be a part of the city. The city is not opening. It's showing no signs of doing so.
I mean, it's affordable to live there now.
I mean, me and my wife kind of,
No, it's not. It's not. We have a moratorium on rent. No one's paying because they know that once they start letting the prices compete, boo!
This is something I thought you get all worked up about, Craig. Like you can't like get. Like, if you don't pay your electric bill, they're not turning your electric off. Yeah. You know, like all this forgiveness. So it's like, why would you pay your electric bill then? You know what I mean? It's
because you owe it at the end.
I know.
You don't just get out of it.
You don't get out of it. It's a lien tied to your house, but it's money that you don't have to spend now. You know what I mean?
So like your mortgage is going to, like you would get foreclosed on if you take advantage of that and then don't pay it down.
Your your mortgage would be a different situation than like a utility. But yeah, I agree.
But if you're a renter, that's going to follow you to the next house, and then you're not going to be able to open the account. So
terrible things for landlords going on right now. I mean, if you're a landlord, you don't like the pandemic at all because you can't kick anybody out. They don't pay you.
My tenants have been paying me.
Mine have too, but I mean, that's we're lucky. I think that's
they have the money, and they are aware that
some
they
people
still owe it.
And some people got away.
You're either going to get evicted. So if you like the place you live, which my tenants, I believe, like the place they live. They realize if they don't pay, no matter the other place.
I'm just joking.
The
other duplex that you own.
They would be like they wouldn't want to be evicted at the end of this. And I think they're aware of that. Yeah. So they need to keep paying. There is that incentive still to them. But if you're living in a slumlord situation,
right, why pay? Yeah. But my whole point about the women is just that we're old school. I mean, it's just it's an older mentality. It's like a 1983 thing. To say, a woman can't be in charge. Obviously, that's not true, but I think that's a lot of people's secret mentality around here. It's a secret. It's nothing no one's saying out loud.
Working class people do not want to be lectured. They don't want to be told that they need to. They're not smart enough to figure out their problems, and they need to elect a leader who is smart enough. Mm-hmm. They want the elected leader who they believe is equal to them and has the same interest. Maybe isn't as smart as them. Maybe in some cases you might think you're smarter than Trump, but know that you would not be able to lead like he does if you were in.
The person telling us to stay at home won a popularity contest. They're not overly qualified to make those decisions.
Yeah, it's probably
They just want to. Popularity contest, and then you see
just
what's going on in California. So, you see what's going on in California,
and it's like
it's one of the most popular things on YouTube is why I'm leaving California.
Talk about paying a ton of money to go.
Yeah.
So not.
Do you have any more bets to run down here through us here, Greg?
Well, we haven't got to the major election predictions. Let me see what we got on prop bets looking. I think that's the last. Oh boy, here we go. Biden battleground states.
This
is the prop bets we got. Mm-hmm. How many of the following states will Biden win? Arizona. This is Biden. Now you're going to get the same bet for Trump.
What are the odds on Arizona?
No, you got to pick a number.
Oh, okay.
Out of these states, you pick a number, and then you get odds for each one.
Okay.
We got Arizona, Florida, Georgia, Iowa, Michigan, Minnesota, North Carolina, Ohio, PA, Wisconsin.
That's it.
I think what I just made. I did not take this. My predictions is not based off the book, but I'm saying
whatever you say, Greg.
Colorado's not on there.
Okay.
And they put North Carolina. I have that red, so let's count. That's one for Trump. North Carolina's going Trump. Ohio's going Trump. That's 2. Iowa's going Trump. That's 3. Georgia's going Trump. That's 4. I think Florida has to go. That's 5. That leaves us with Arizona, Michigan, Minnesota, PA, Wisconsin. 5 states. I believe there's 5 for sure. There's 5 that could go.
And he needs them all.
Yes. No, you can bet any one of them.
Oh, you're just betting.
It looks like the best odds are that Biden will win exactly 3 states. And Trump's is lose all 10, win 3.
What's lose all 10?
Lose all 10 is plus 600.
Plus 600.
That's not a low line. Oh, I printed these out. Talk about an error. It doesn't give me the final 3.
Yeah.
I had to scroll in the betting window.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's see what other ones we got. We're going to ignore that one then.
A little technical difficulty.
Yeah. You know what you do? You read these lines for the first time here. That proves that I did not.
So what do we got coming up after the biggest lines?
I think that's pretty much it, because, I mean, it's like 11:03.
We're moving down towards pathways to victory in the final predictions.
Yeah, we got to do our predictions.
Yeah, let's go to that here. The specialty lines are not as organized as I'd like. The thing that I would not be... If you're going to bet on these, I think if you have a lot of money, there are... Basically, each one of these states falls into 3 categories. You have the one that's... if it's always blue or red, then the chances of the underdog winning, you get paid between 20 or 2,000 and 4,000 to 100 on your money. That means you get 20 times it. If you believe... For example, one of the ones that I like, of a big upset here, would be Alaska... the Democratic governor. He's going off at 7,000 plus 7,000. That means if you bet $10, you win 700. I think that might be worth popping a $10 down on it. And it's a weird state.
Never know what's going to happen.
You could do something similar with Hawaii. They're an island that technically could get their spread down to zero, let nobody in. They're small enough to completely shut down, and they're trying to.
Though there goes the industry.
How does it? There is no tourism. Mm-hmm. So an island that's just 90% of the jobs, they were taking care of the hotels.
Right.
That's what I don't understand, how the Virgin Islands is surviving.
Oh, yeah. I don't know any.
I mean, maybe people are flying down there to
think
stay at their places. But
there might be more people down there than we know. I mean, here's the thing. Even like sporting events, like you can still go to a Steelers game. You just got to pay 8 times as much as you normally would for the ticket. Yeah. So it's like, okay, maybe.
But it's all the businesses around the stadium that would have been.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's certain industries are really affected.
I mean, it's
tourism,
crazy.
And that's
restaurants,
where
tourism.
Nevada. I see no way it goes. That would have never been a possibility. Biden.
So you're voting for Trump?
I'm voting for Trump.
And you think he's going to win?
I think he's going to win. I'm not as confident that he is as last time. And
you were really confident last
time.
When no one else was.
Yes. Because the caveat being Pennsylvania, I knew was his.
But you're also voting for him.
Yes, I know.
You didn't vote for him last time.
I voted against him. I voted for Hillary. I didn't even vote Libertarian. But I bought into what I'm doing now almost, where I think the Democratic Party is evil. I think that if they get back in charge, they are going to try and implement communism. Not under just the name of spreading COVID. They've been lining this argument up for the Green New Deal. That all this less travel and less trucks has been better for the environment. And look how these storms have gotten outrageous. Everyone's mad at the fires and the hurricanes. Trump had an opportunity to assume absolute power when this pandemic hit.
Yeah.
And it would have been, Democrats were actually urging him to do so. And he did not. My biggest complaint against him is I figured if any opportunity presented itself to him that he would take that. And he hasn't.
Yeah.
He hasn't. He's actually been very libertarian. He let the states decide. That's what he should have done. He let the states decide.
He was good about that in the debate, too.
Like he generally has not tried to take away things from people. Mm-hmm. There has not been a restrictive presidency. So...
There you have it. We'll be in with the next podcast.
I was wrong about Donald Trump. I was right about my predictions, though. And that, like, even I have successfully predicted. For my entire life, I predicted every election. Going back to the original, I didn't like Al Gore in 5th grade. And I remember as a 5th grader going, we'll just stick with the Bush. His dad was a good enough president. We'll just keep him in. You don't know anything.
And that was probably what the average voter was thinking, too, honestly.
I said Kerry was an idiot on the rerun. Anti him, Obama, that was the easiest. My first vote's on Obama. You get spoiled. It's like you won by a landslide. Next year, it's like Kobe Bryant. Nobody else on the team does anything. They just let Kobe run up and down the court. Then he leaves. And then you get the Lakers without LeBron, without Kobe.
Yeah. And
what is that? So now it's Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden, and Kamala, and Julian Castro, and Chloe Benham, and Bernie, good old Bernie.
Well, people will have to tune into the next one to see what won.
The results. Yeah, we might right now where I think this is going to be going.
I think everything's going.
Tomorrow night at 7:00, we will find out for sure who won Florida. 60% of their votes are already counted, waiting to be released. They're mailed in, split Democrats and Republicans.
They have their shit together down there, apparently.
Believe it or not, if you thought mail-in ballots were a good idea, you could have done this at any point in the past decade. You could have initiated this system.
There's one thing the pandemic did.
Their votes like the mail, so you don't have to go in and check to make sure it was received.
If there's one thing the pandemic did, it made everybody think a little differently on how to do things. So
wear a mask.
Yeah.
Just shut up and wear a mask.
Come on, man.
Come on, man.
Come on, man. All right. Well, I think that's it.
No, what to watch for tomorrow? 7:00. We will know. This is what CNN has alerted us. At 7:00, we will know if Biden wins Florida. If Biden wins Florida, he wins it all, everyone can go to bed.
Okay.
If he doesn't win Florida, then we will not be hearing results about most of the states until Friday. They're calling it the Red Mirage. And essentially, early on at like 7, 8, 9, 10 o'clock tomorrow, if half of the Democrats in every state mailed in their stuff and Republicans showed up in person, Trump's going to be winning every state. He could be winning in California for a couple minutes. There could be a situation where all Democrats are voted by mail. They can't count them until day of. Republicans get theirs counted on the spot. he's in. Fox has said if you don't have 2 reputable major news networks, not Fox, Twitter and Facebook. If you don't have
since
2,
they're the editors of the world now.
Yes, if 2 reputable newspapers do not declare a state yours in victory, they will not let you declare victory.
There you go.
So I'd be prepared.
At least they set a parameter.
I'm preparing for basically a Twitter blackout as of about 8 or 9 o'clock tomorrow night.
That would be a good topic to talk about next time.
It's
social media.
I was trying to figure out where you might have to go to a website, delegatewatch.com. I actually already have. We can change the name and repurpose it for this, but we'll figure out a way to get content.
We'll zoom you into the next one, Craig.
If this is right.
I know how to do that now.
During the week,
Yeah.
I come home, though, on next Wednesday for my wedding.
Perfect.
So I'll be home
it's that quick?
second half of the week. Yeah, it's in 2 weeks.
2 weeks,
shit.
yeah.
Okay. All right, let's pack things up.
Everyone be safe.
Let's go home and vote. I got to get up early tomorrow and vote.
Go vote unless you want to mail in your ballot. Then go ahead and mail it in today. Go right now and mail in your ballot today, and I hope it counts.
Actually,
I don't trust it.
Yeah, wait till that. You just go at any given point. Go ahead, mail in your ballots. Thank you for. How long have we been talking for?
Way too long.
Yeah, we didn't even have a serious edit. It's on record though.
But I would cut it up into sections.